Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to What's Up With That, the show that brings you interesting people, places, cultures, and subcultures here in the South Bay, the San Francisco Bay Area, the state of California, and beyond. And tonight, What's Up With Teen Talk, Teens 2006. What kind of issues do teens face every day here in the year 2006? What happens at school? What happens when they leave school? What are their fears? Well, you know, I can remember when I was a kid, we used to be able to play out in the street till it was dark and there was no problem. Well, what's up with that? What happened? Well, joining me tonight are two terrific teens to talk about what happened and more. Please welcome two terrific teens, Eric Burton and Desirae Pica. Hey, what's up with that?
Not much.
How you doing? All right. Well, let's start with the basics here. What's up with school? What do you think about school? Are you learning anything?
I'm learning things. It's my senior year. I'm finally, I worked pretty hard, and now I'm finally, not paying for it, but I'm doing, I have 4 classes, start at 7:30, get out at 11:40, can't beat that, so,
Very cool.
Yes, has its...
How about you?
It's going pretty good, just getting ready, looking at colleges and making sure I have good grades, trying to keep everything good.
So when you're at school, what's your favorite time at school?
Well, my favorite time would have been lunch, but since I don't stay for lunch, anymore. But I have my most fun probably second and fourth period because I have the same teacher and he's like really cool. And I mean, no offense, Andrew, but I can't really see him being I can't see an adult being as cool as this guy. I mean, you come close, I guess. But
I've been dogged here.
But no, like I have a lot of fun with that guy and it's cool.
Probably my Spanish class. It's really hard, but just learning another language, I really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun.
So what do you really dread about school?
Homework.
I knew you were going to say that.
Of course, my parents wouldn't believe me when I said this, but I don't really get that much homework. Most of my stuff is done either in class because I have a lot of time too.
Hey, where's your homework?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, Mom, I don't have any. Why are you playing video games? It's like, hey, just don't trip. Like,
Just don't trip.
It's cool. And I mean, sometimes I guess they get kind of freaked out when they see my grades, but I always bring them up. Like, that's the thing. I'm pretty good at bringing them up. So.
Oh, yeah. No.
Okay.
Yeah, woo, right up there. That old faithful. Huh? How about you? What do you dread at school?
Probably chemistry. It's a really hard class for me, and I don't like it.
So, let's talk about school now. Issues in school. There's people who are cool and people who are not cool, and I mean that's a personal thing. I think everybody is cool in their own way if you really look deep inside people. But how do people define what's cool at school?
It depends. I guess it's kind of the people, not really the people you hang out with, because I mean, obviously, different, like you said, different people define different people as being cool. So, like, I obviously assume my friends are cool, but I mean, I know there are other people that don't like us, and so that's fine. But I mean, I guess, kind of in the way you dress. Like, I don't know. Like, I know it's not gonna matter like 20 years from now, but I'm not saying I'm a classy guy, but I like to look nice every once in a while.
Do you already automatically know which group is the in group?
Yeah, easily. Like, obviously everybody up in the senior benches, jocks, everybody with Lettermans. You're like, I mean, my friend and I wanted to pitch in to buy one Letterman so we can just kind of share it with each other. Obviously that didn't fall through, but yeah, it's just, you can just tell, like, all the pretty boys, all the really hot girls, and you're like, oh, you're like, they're up here, you're down here, and it's kind of like, but it's so,
How about you?
I think it's more of when you get older to your junior and senior year, because my freshman and sophomore year, I wasn't it wasn't a big deal to me, but I think as you get older and people start driving and people start going out more, it's just more of like, oh, can they come with us, or, oh no, she's not cool enough, or, it's just more, I think it's more when you get older. It's more of a big deal.
And what about the people who are not cool? How are they treated? Or
I don't think at our school it's that big of a problem. I don't really see it. Like, if I see someone who doesn't really talk to someone, I'll walk by and I'll say hi, or, I just don't think it's that big of a problem.
So there's not...
I think it happens, like, so often, but I think it's more of, I don't know, I don't really see it.
I mean, you see Hollywood movies, it's an example, and you see these, it's always the typical, that's why Hollywood sometimes just bugs the what out of me, but it's the typical nerd with the big glasses, and they're walking down the hallway, and some big jock picks him up and boom, slams him up against the, they drop all their books or whatever, let's pick up my books or something like that.
Well,
is it like that?
Well, there are kids like that. Like, as much as I don't want to admit that, well, I don't really care because I'm not one of them. But there are kids like that, and I don't know if it's they get picked on as much. They have their own little clique or whatever. You know, they play Magic somewhere in some corner and some debt. You know,
Yu-Gi-Oh or something.
Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh. And it's just I don't know. Like, I guess they get kind of teased every once in a while, but it's not to the point where big, huge jocks pick them up and bench press them and stuff. It's not nothing like that. But
yeah, people just walk by and be like, "Oh, what are they playing? Oh, that's dumb," or it's not too big.
Do people ever try to stick up for these kids that are getting, dumped on or anything?
I think it depends on actually who it is, because I know there's a kid at our school and he's autistic, and a lot of us are friends with him, but some people are they'll tell him to do certain things and he'll think it's cool, so he'll do it. But
so they're making fun of him.
Yeah, but a lot of us will be like,
Paul guy or
yeah, a lot of us will just be like, Paul, don't worry about them, don't do that. And a lot of people will stick up for him.
Yeah, well, I mean, I personally think it takes a lot more courage for somebody to do something like that, to put yourself on, on the wane a little bit and take a chance. A lot of kids don't understand that. I've known you two for a long time, so hopefully you're more mature than that. I know you are, but what defines let's just take it down to your level, at your school, the real popular, the super, the main man, the top babe, the whatever.
What defines them? Just usually who they hang out with, and they all have their own thing, what sports they play. Of course, all the football players. The thing is that with the football players, all they're into, I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them I know, all they talk about is how what party they went to, how much they drank, what they did this, and it's that really makes me realize how what my friends, how good of a relationship we have, because none of us do any of that, and we still have just as much fun, but they have to do all that kind of stuff to have fun, and it's I don't know, but I guess if that's what it takes to be popular, then I don't really want any part of that, because it's not me, really. All
right, well said. Keep that thought. We'll be taking a commercial break, and we'll be coming right back with Teen Talk. So stick with us and check it out.
Σήμερα θα ήθελα να μιλήσω για την σύγχρονη βιντεοκάμερα, που είναι ένα θαύμα υψηλής τεχνολογίας, η οποία επιτρέπει...
Is shooting good video all Greek to you? How would you like to learn about all the latest video cameras? We have just what you need. In just 3 hours, you'll be shooting your own video with state-of-the-art cameras in a workshop we made just for you. This workshop is provided by KMVT Community Television. To learn more, contact us at the phone or website on your screen.
All right, welcome back. We're here back with Eric and Desirae, and we were talking here in Teen Talk about some issues in school. There's another big part of growing up, and that's the dating scene. Tell me, what's it like to start dating? How do you approach it, and what do you do? This is a big parent nightmare, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, every parent is like,
Yeah.
So you have to understand, when your parents is parent blood pressure is...
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can imagine it being a lot different for say if the girl, the daughter, or whatever of the family. I can see that being a bigger issue with the parents, because I guess obviously everybody's a lot more protective of the daughter, I think. And I know if my little sister, when she starts going out with people, I'm gonna be right there, to intimidate somebody. But with me, I have a girlfriend, yes, of 1 year and 3 months. I love you, Amanda.
Oh, that's cute.
And she doesn't go to my school. She goes to Valley Christian, but I had some relationships back here at Santa Clara over through freshman and junior year or whatever, and it's
skipped over the sophomore one.
Yeah, exactly. Didn't want to talk about sophomore. No, yeah.
Take a break there.
Yeah, I honestly did, but it's just, you get to see how people who people are and how they change, because I know people that I went out with or whatever, a girl or two I went out with the freshman year, and now I see senior year, and it's whoa. And, I'm glad I'm glad I'm where I'm at now, and it's a big difference. But my parents like my girlfriend, so that's okay.
What about you?
Yeah, I have a boyfriend too, Jeffrey, and I think it's really not that, I know a lot of parents, you know, get mad, but I think if your parents are open with you and they talk to you about it, it's really not that big of a deal. And as long as you talk to them about it, and, you know, there can be boundaries set, but, you know, if they don't like it as much, you're going to do it anyway, so.
Right. And I think a lot of it has to do with how much your parents trust you.
Yeah.
You know, so there's establishing that trust, and then there's also living up to that, their expectations. If they want you back at midnight, you don't come back at 4 in the morning drunk, you know.
Well, I've never had the drunk problem, but you know, we went to winter ball, and I was supposed to be home. The dance ended at midnight. I was supposed to be home by 1, and I came home at like 4:30, and I got in a lot of trouble for that. And
Yeah,
it's
I
just
can imagine.
the simplest thing. They just need a call. Just be like, hey, I'm not going to make it on time, so just be aware of it. All they want to know is where I'm at, you know, and I respect that a lot. And
I learned that this year too.
yeah, exactly. And it's just it's hard, but I've getting better at it. So,
I mean, because kids have to realize that, you know, your parents are your parents. And
yeah, exactly.
they want the best for you. They want to know you're safe.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same. Like, my parents really like my boyfriend, and they trust me. And, you know, I have to come home at 12, and if I'm going to be late, you know, then I have to call. But I think as long as your parents, like, meet your boyfriend or girlfriend, you know, they know them, I think it's okay. Because, you know, of course, if they don't know them, they're going to feel uncomfortable about it. You know, as long as you have that.
What do you do if you go out with somebody and something's just not right?
Leave.
I mean,
Like, I guess
some people are afraid to make, you know, that dash or whatever.
Well, I don't think, well, it depends. I mean, if you know the person, I don't think I'd ever go out with someone I don't know or that I know I'd feel uncomfortable with. And if I did, you know, I'd probably like, oh, I'm going to go to the bathroom and, you know, call my parents. And, you know, because my parents are always like, you know, if there's anything wrong or if anything ever happens, if you don't have a ride, just call us. And no matter what time of the day, just, you know, we'll pick you up.
Yeah, and I totally agree with Desirae on that, because it's like I'm always with my friends. Like, I usually hang out with my friends. I don't hang out with somebody else that, like, because I know how my friends are and I know what we do, and we're like, you know, so I never usually feel uncomfortable. And if I do feel uncomfortable, they're usually there to back me up. So it's not usually that big of a deal.
What about when you're at a party? Okay, because things can happen. I mean, if you're at a party and something's getting out of control or whatever, what do you do? Are you going to leave? Are you going to try to stop it? Or what's a good choice?
Control as in?
Are you going to get involved in it?
It depends on what it is, you know. I think if...
Because these are choices where kids have gotten killed over.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well,
that's kind of hard because you kind of don't want to get in someone else's business that isn't yours, but then again, you don't want to see someone else.
Yeah,
you don't want to see that person get hurt if it is something like that. But I don't know. I think I don't know. That's hard.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about the party aspect, because honestly, I can say I've never really been to a party. So, well, like, whatever. But I've been to birthday parties. And I don't think that counts.
That cake is pretty killer, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
It'll knock you down.
No, yeah, but I haven't. Haven't been to one of those, so I wouldn't really know. But usually, if it's somebody if I'm not familiar with the person or who's involved, then I usually stay out of it. But if it's my friends, of course I'm gonna be there for them, because I know they do the exact same thing for me, and it just they'd be there in a second. So of course I'm gonna be the
I agree
same
on
way,
that one
so.
too. Just I don't.
One of the big issues that has sort of plagued education, the schools, for at least the last 10 years or more has been A, violence, school violence, and B, drugs. Do you see violent behaviors in school?
Yeah.
I mean, is it common?
I guess
It's amazing because I didn't see that much. I mean, when I was a kid. And I'm wondering if there's a connection between video games, which the media certainly tried to blame, or whatever, but what do you see at school?
I think the violence is more of a problem, I think, at school. Because this year there's been, like, 2 really big fights. And, like, last year, my sophomore year, there was a really bad fight. There was, like, blood in the cafeteria floor. And I was just like, wow, like, that's the first time I've felt uncomfortable at my own school. But I think violence is more of a problem in our school.
Yeah. Yeah, well...
What kind of violence? I mean,
mostly just verbal stuff back and forth. I've gotten a few things, just kind of like...
Okay.
But it's never been,
talking,
exactly. But it's never been anything too big. It's just, I don't know. It's the whole video game thing. There's a whole. It's completely overblown. I think if you use video games as an excuse to why you're being violent, that's totally
right.
outrageous.
I actually agree with you on that.
Yeah, because it's like
been used as an excuse.
Yeah, it is, because it's like they're obviously if you act out something because you saw it in a video game, then obviously there's something mentally wrong with you because it's not reality.
And it's like your parents, I think it's your parents' responsibility. Like, if you're young, to be like, oh, even though you're playing these games and it's bad though, you shouldn't do these things. You shouldn't want to do these things.
Yeah.
And that's part of good parenting, and it's also part of good school education if the schools are supporting these kinds of things and telling you.
Yeah.
And that's, pointing the finger. The other thing is gangs. The gangs have been around for a long, long time. Now, you guys probably have your own opinion about gangs, and I think you might have your special opinion. Why don't you share that with us?
Yeah, well, the beginning of the year, one of our vice principals, we had the whole orientation thingy in the amphitheater or whatever, and he made it clear that no red, no blue. And by the way, there are no hardcore gangbangers at school. It's just a bunch of wannabes. And I believe that to be true. I mean, sure, there are, like, your kind of shady characters that hang out by the door, like the gatekeepers. Even though,
They assume shady everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, whatever. Like, if you give them the wrong look, of course, you're going to be like, oh, what's up, But it's, for the most part, it's like, okay, you're from Santa Clara. Like,
yeah, I think at our school, it's just like, kind of like insecurity if you're going to act that way,
Yeah.
Like, you don't have your own confidence,
Right. Well, that's what they say. People join gangs for, to find some place to fit in.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, if they join a hardcore gang, they don't get out usually.
Yeah, no.
But I don't think there's
in a
anything
casket
like
or something.
Yeah.
So, okay, we're going to take a short commercial break here, and we'll get back to this. A really good conversation. There's a lot more issues to cover. Stick with us. We'll be right back with What's Up With That.
You don't have to play ball to be a great shot blocker. Never buy illegal wildlife products, and we can save our endangered animals.
When the buying stops, the killing can too.
Hi, welcome back to What's Up With That with Teen Talk. We're here with Eric and Desirae. And let's get down to probably one of the most scariest issues, I think, for parents and society. Society puts a lot of pressure on students to stay away from this stuff. Drugs.
Yeah.
Are there a lot of drugs out there?
I think the main one is just marijuana.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's more of a thing at our school. More people, that's their thing. That's what they do at parties. That's what they do on the weekends.
Do they come to school stoned?
Some people
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
I got the stoner club.
Yeah, I've known a few people. I mean, a bunch of my really good friends, not the ones I hang out with now, of course, but like...
That's right, Eric. Just put it on.
Yeah, people I hung out with, I remember they're like, oh yeah, drugs are so stupid, blah, 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 and lo and behold, they're big potheads now, and it's like, okay, whatever, dude. Like,
I think, actually, though, like, out of all the drugs, at least that one's, I guess, in some way natural. Because the other ones, I know that they can really mess you up. I'm not saying that marijuana is any better. I don't think,
I mean, if you picked up the newspaper, or watch TV, you would think that every student in America is high.
yeah.
I mean, that's the image that the media perpetuates, which is why you have to watch out for that evil media sometimes, people, and what's warning you. So marijuana, there's not crack or...
No, I haven't heard anything that bad. My girlfriend's neighbor, I heard she got into like meth or something pretty bad. But that's something. But I have heard of a lot, obviously, kind of recently. Because remember, I've heard obviously like the whole drug thing became more apparent like when I got in high school, like freshman, sophomore year. I was like, ooh, drugs. I'm like, I'm kind of weird now, but now I'm starting to hear a lot more about shrooms.
Yeah.
So that's like the big thing now, I guess.
Making a comeback.
Yeah.
I
guess. I never really heard about that until like recently. Like, I mean, I knew like before what it was, but I don't think it was so big until like now.
Yeah, now it's like
it's just
like,
as common as
Well, you just have
marijuana.
to be, you have to have common sense and just know that stuff ain't gonna do you no good down the line at any point. Really, it's just mess you up. That's the message. Another big issue: teenage obesity. I mean, this is a giant issue now because, you know, they had that McDonald's documentary about the guy who ate McDonald's for a month, and they had the lady that sued McDonald's because McDonald's made her kid fat. Yeah, lady, you know, don't take him to the McDonald's,
every
okay?
day.
Yeah.
Every day. But do you see a lot of obesity issues?
I think more now. Like when I was younger, I don't think it was that bad of a problem. But I think now, just because more people, you know, it's available, it's easy, you know, and you don't want to go home and cook, you go to McDonald's, you know.
Right.
But I don't. I think
it's a
it's
sign of the times.
Yeah, but I think, you know, if they can't blame it on McDonald's, you know, these people, they need to teach their children how to eat right. You know, you can eat it every once in a while, it's fine, but don't blame it on McDonald's just because, you know, you can't cook them a healthy meal.
And then you come from Santa Clara Unified, which is groundbreaking, they say, with the 24/7 rule they're trying to enforce. This is a big issue because Santa Clara Unified will be the first district in the state to adopt such a hardcore policy where they're going to have no junk food, zero tolerance for junk food.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think about that?
But for me, I don't stay for lunch. So, I mean, I never really went to the vending machines to begin with. You know, when I did stay for lunch, I didn't really get that much junk food. Well, I mean, I guess food from the cafeteria is junk.
Yeah.
But,
more greasy than McDonald's.
Exactly.
That's the problem. I mean, that's what sort of sparked this issue.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I was sick today and I wanted to go in the lunch line and find something somewhat healthy, but, you know, I get up there and all I see is just like food that's not good. I mean, I think the healthiest thing there was strawberries, but, you know, I think that new thing that they're doing, I mean, once you're in high school, I think you're old enough to understand what's good for you and what's not, you know?
And that's a big issue because I think it's important actually that you guys say something about it because you have adults nutritionists who say that they know what's right for you.
Yeah.
And to me, that would bother me.
Yeah.
Because, again, it's someone saying that you don't have the intelligence to say something for yourself.
Yeah, because I think in like middle school and elementary, of course, you know, I don't think you're exactly at that level to where you know it's good for you, especially not in elementary. But I think as you get to high school, you should know. You know, and in my leadership class, we wrote a letter saying, you know, that that's not something we agree with and that's not something we want. And yes, we do want healthier foods, but they shouldn't, you know, take away our Gatorade. And, you know, I understand the soda part, but, you know, we can't even sell like tea or coffee or hot chocolate or Gatorade at any of our like sporting events. Nothing.
Hot dogs.
Yeah, it's
just
just
American classic.
It's really, I think it's a little
Take away
overboard.
your hot dog. What's happening to this country?
I don't like them though, so it's not a big deal.
I do.
Well, good for you. Okay. So finally, we're going to get to another subject that I think is probably perhaps the most scariest that I see as an adult is the internet. Let's talk about the internet. You have MySpace, where anybody and their mother and brother, whatever, can really find you.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Because I know you're both chatting all the time.
Yeah.
You'd be lying if you...
Not all the time.
Well, not all the
I think
time.
you need a break from it, but I think, I mean, you can only approve friends that, you know, that you want. I wouldn't approve a stranger, someone I don't know, because that's pretty much pointless.
The question is, how would you know if you don't know this person? I mean...
Well, for the most part, because I usually add, of course, everybody I know, because, like, you know, I see them around, and then I meet them, and I see who they are, and they tell me, like, what their MySpace URL is or whatever, and so I'm like, oh, okay, and then I see their little picture that says, do you want to be my friend? And I said, yeah, sure. But there have been times, even now still, like, people that don't like, well, me or my friends, you know, like, they've made fake MySpaces about, like, my friends. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, and they do that all the time, like, it's happened, and they just say, like, oh, yeah, I'm so-and-so, and I'm so, like, dumb, and I follow what everybody else does and everything, and it kind of just bashes on everybody.
It's pretty bad.
But then there's this new thing called Spy Space, and you can see who's been looking at your MySpace, whatever, and it shows their URL number, or the IP address, or whatever, and then, like, you go down, you can see who it is what, and so, like, and then we found out who it was.
So they're trying to do some kind of protection on it?
Kinda, yeah, but, I mean...
Do you ever chat with someone? Have you ever chatted with a person that you don't know? And
No.
Not really. Like, I mean, I've on like MySpace, I see like a person, like there's this guy has a profile, Marty McFly, and my favorite movie is Back to the Future, so I just added him, but I've never talked to him or anything. It's just a lot of people do that. Like bands have MySpaces, like our friend's band, October Sky, they have MySpace. You know, just even real big sign bands, they all have. You know, so it's just like a community.
So what do you put on your blog then?
I don't really.
I don't. It's just kind of like a profile about yourself. You don't like have your address or anything.
Yeah.
It's just a picture of me, is a couple of pictures of my girlfriend. You know, and people can comment about like things that happen, like, hey, cool, thanks for the food today, or whatever.
Yeah. Just kind of another way to say hi, another way of communicating without picking up the phone or.
Well, just be careful though. The final question, okay? The future, all right? It's coming close. You're getting ready to go to college. You're getting, hopefully, whatever. Are you nervous? Or what are your plans? What do you want to do with your life?
My life. Well, my mom and dad ask me this every single day, and they never let me hear the end of it. But
my mom too. What do you got to do?
Yeah, exactly. But my ideal thing would be to go just get some general ed done at community college, West Valley Mission, De Anza, and then. I love acting, photography, film, anything, editing, whatever. Just want to get into something like that, UCLA, I guess, has a good school, obviously.
Of course it does.
Of course.
There's no better school in the world.
San Francisco State also has a good
UCLA. Go Bruins! So what about you?
I don't know exactly where I want to go to college yet, but I want to major in psychology. It's something that I just recently found that I really like, and hopefully play softball, but it's probably going to be hard.
Well, I mean, the scholarships, softball scholarships are, you got to work hard for it, but that's a way to get in. Schools are expensive.
Yeah.
If you go to junior college, you get really good grades, and then you can,
Yeah, exactly.
And I kind of wish I would have gone to junior college because I didn't, and I didn't have that opportunity. Well, anyways, believe it or not, that's all the time we have. We're going to have one quick statement that you could say one thing to teenagers today in 2006. What would you say to them?
I'd say with great power comes great responsibility. I took that from Spider-Man, but it's true. Like, you don't really, like I'm driving now, so now I have a whole bunch more responsibilities, and it'll only get more. Like, I'll only have more bills, mortgages, families, so. Oh, boy.
Doesn't it sound fun? What about you?
Make good choices. Don't think just for now, but also think for your future and just plan ahead.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Eric and Desirae. That's all the time we have for What's Up With That. Hopefully you've learned something about teen life today. And to the teens that are watching, hopefully these two individuals have given you some great advice. And to our viewing audience, as always, if you're walking down the street and you see something interesting and you wonder to yourself, hey, what's up with that? Well, tune into our show, What's Up With That, and maybe you'll find exactly what you're looking for. We'll see you next week on What's Up With That. Good night, everybody.